now. So, hi everyone, very good afternoon and welcome to this webinar organized by the Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry in collaboration with Forward Looking Training and Consultancy. We have with us today industry experts to speak in today's session on the Singapore Chartered Accountant qualification, and our very own Assistant Treasurer of SICCI, Dr. Zaba Ali, Managing Partner Raffles CAs LLP, to open and chair the session. So a little bit on Dr. Ali before we start. Dr. Zaba Ali is a chartered accountant with over 40 years of external, internal audit and management consulting experiences globally. Dr. Ali obtained his master's in accounting from Monash University, Australia, and is a member of various professional bodies worldwide. He has represented Singapore on strategic management issues as a speaker and had presented various papers in forums and conferences on varied topics. His other appointments include Chartered President of ACCA, Toastmasters International USA, and Chartered President of Association of Work-Life Professionals Singapore. He has also conducted GST awareness for the Malaysian government departments when GST was first introduced in 2015. I would now like to invite Dr. Ali to give his opening remarks. Dr. Ali, please.
Thank you, Gauri. Thank you. Hello, everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you. A very good afternoon. Welcome to today's great webinar session on how Singapore Chartered Accountant qualification helps develop business leaders. So that's basically the topic that we are going to share and discuss. It is actually a collaborative event between our chamber, Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce, and Forward-Looking Training and Consultancy Company. It is my pleasure to open this wonderful session, as it is a prestigious qualification pathway for eligible candidates who aspire to drive their businesses to greater heights by studying core subjects and becoming a qualified chartered accountant and smart businessman to meet today's challenging period and the future. For those who may be unaware that SICCI, Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce, has served the needs of local Indian businesses and the business community at large since 1924. SICCI strives to give its members a competitive edge in the global market by providing them with diverse insights, connections, and support services. This includes job and trade matching, business advisory, network sessions, seminars, and skills trading. SICCI aims to be the gateway of opportunity for Indian businesses in Singapore, helping both homegrown and international companies realize their full potential. Our SME Center has customized information services for all SMEs in Singapore. The Chamber, Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce, has also established an international business division to serve the globalization needs of local companies. With such services, SICCI hopes to further its members' interests, giving value-added options and solutions. Due to the high disruptive nature of the COVID-19 pandemic, it is imperative that businesses learn to adapt and navigate accordingly in order to thrive. However, it is also important that we develop and cultivate the necessary skills to acquire the relevant knowledge and the qualification to survive this post-COVID world. As the title of today's webinar suggests, it is centered around how the CA qualification chartered accountant can help in developing talent in the accounting services sector creating and developing business leaders. Through this webinar, participants will also understand how you could also be an accredited training organization, in short, we call it ATO, in developing talents in the accountancy services sector. So what I would like to do, we would like to introduce two speakers today for the session. First is Mr. Anthony Chow. He is the Associate Director, Partner Engagement with the Singapore Accountancy Commission. This commission was launched in April 1st, 2013, and the SAC, Singapore Accountancy Commission, works for the advancement of Singapore accountancy's sector and provides the registration of chartered accountants in Singapore. Next, we would have Ms. Laksha Mehta. She is the founder of Forward Looking Training and Consultancy, who shall guide us through the path and the journey towards becoming a qualified Singapore Chartered Accountant. She is a passionate educator who is keen to help students with their learning journey, with more than 20 years working in corporate and in education industry. She was involved in the Chartered Accountants program since 2013, when she was the head of program at SAA, then an education arm of the national accounting bodies. With that, I would like to invite Mr. Anthony Chow. Please, it's on to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ali. Good afternoon, everybody. Let me just share my screen with you. Okay, can everybody see it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So thank you once again. I'm so honored to be invited here to the Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry to share my knowledge about the Singapore Chartered Accountant qualification, and also to maybe shed some light on the professional accounting profession, and also the role that SAC, the Singapore Accountancy Commission, plays. So let me just jump right in and talk about the Singapore Chartered Accountant Qualification, or SCAQ for short. Yeah, I will call it SCAQ. It's a mouthful. Okay. So the SCAQ is a national product, like what Dr. Ali had mentioned. Yeah. So it is a service, a product that was born in Singapore by local professionals and industry experts over here. Of course, in collaboration, in consultation with the established professional bodies that are operating here and also overseas. I mean, Singapore has always, taken this approach that we learn from the best. We know that we do not hold the corner to expertise or knowledge. That's why we always reach out to established players, established owners of IP and patents and knowledge, to learn from them, to see how we can bring this into Singapore environment, our economy. So this product, although it is a Singapore originated product, nonetheless, it has a regional appeal. Okay, because of the fact that Singapore sits right in the hub of the Southeast Asia region, right in the heart of it, we are in a very good position to be able to reach out and be the platform to launch business ideas and to be the transit for business transactions. So that is the key role that Singapore can play. As you know, Singapore by itself do not have resources in its own right. We do not have natural resources. What we have are just people resources, human capital, and that's where the development of human capital takes on a very important aspect in making sure that Singapore continue to thrive in the 21st century, right? So it applies the same. Singapore always want to do well in everything that we touch on, everything that we do, because we cannot afford to be anything less than one of the best because of the nature of Singapore's economy, the demographics and geography. We are so small and we are so hidden away that we definitely need to exert ourselves in a way that can benefit our citizens, ourselves, and of course, to our partners and people around us. Definitely, that's why we always want to play the role of a good neighbor, a friend, a collaborator, and a business associate rather than anything else. Right? There's no other option for us. Okay, so talking about that, the accountancy profession is no different. We are only 7 years old, as I think Dr. Alba has shared that SAC was founded on 1st April 2013. Since then, it's been only about 7-8 years, and our qualification has therefore is really a baby in the world of professional qualification, right? So think about some of the very established names you might have heard of. They are hundreds of years old. So we definitely are not into a balanced race with them in that sense. In fact, we do not challenge them in any way. We collaborate with them. We try to work hand in hand. We try to work together insofar as that it's possible and it's practicable to do that lah. But I think the world has since 10 years ago, globalization and everything has kind of shrunk the business environment by quite a bit. So having a portable kind of credential that you can bring with you that is accepted anywhere else in the world is definitely one advantage that we can offer, that Singapore can offer. Now, all the big professional bodies, they do that all along, all right? And some of them are earlier in the game. They started way ahead. Some has just realized it as recent as maybe 10, 15 years ago too. So all in all, we are all into a new form of a new business environment, a new way of collaborating. The COVID pandemic has brought this closer to home. It hit home straight away, right? It really showed that a lot of things can be done without any physical travel. I mean, imagine we have not been traveling for 2 years. The world didn't stop. Things still, trade still goes on. Businesses still goes on. Learning still goes on. Right, and in some economies, if you have watched the news, you will agree with me. They're still doing very well. Japan is doing very well despite the pandemic. Despite perhaps some people say it's the Olympics, right? But well, the world has to continue and adapt to the new environment that's facing us. So Singapore Chartered Accountant qualification, although it's a local qualification, it does aspire to have an international presence also, and we are well on track towards that direction, right? We have many tie-ups. So what's some of the things that as an accountant, and one of the reasons why this is important is because an accountant is no longer just about keeping records, right? An accountant is no longer just about preparing reports or doing a basic bookkeeping things. Of course, these are still the fundamentals. These are still the crucial, critical roles. But more and more, some of these rather manual, rather tedious, mundane functions in accounting will slowly be taken over by AI, will slowly be improved, automated. So what does that mean for accountants? It doesn't mean that they're out of a job, that they can't do this, do their job, can't have a job anymore. It's not true, because an accountant these days are not trained just to be bookkeepers. The bookkeeping is only a very fundamental, it's just a very beginning part of an accountant's career, a journey to become a professional. Those are just the beginning steps. An accountant these days plays very strategic role as they grow in their profession. Of course, it will probably take them some time, just like in any profession. You don't expect to join the workforce today and tomorrow you become a consultant, or become a general manager, or become somebody that is recognized. It would take time. That applies to any profession. Similarly, in the accounting profession, it will require, the the practitioner to pick up the skill set, to get to build his network, all right, to get to know the profession in and out, to contribute back to the profession in every way he can because he's a professional. Of course, to learn, from the collective intelligence that is a professional community, right? So the kind of roles that accountants can play these days are getting more and more strategic, I would call it. They are more at the forefront of business rather than at the back end, right? At the back end, and this happens to not just the accounting profession, more and more back end work are taken over by automation and by technology. And this is rightly so because they can do a better job in crunching numbers. We are human brains. We are very creative, but when it comes to very specific counting of, we can't be as fast. We can't do it as fast. We may be able to do it. We may be able to solve an equation, but we can't do it as fast as a machine, right? In a machine, you give it an input and equation, within split second, it will spill out the answer to you. But for a person to do it, although he's very intelligent, he will still take a couple of minutes, 1 or 2 minutes to give you the answer. So some of these very basic fundamental functionalities in the accounting profession will, not surprisingly, be taken over by technology, automation, software, and robotics even. So accountants these days are trained to take on more challenging, more human-oriented kind of roles, making decisions that the machine just can't, not yet, I would say, just can't do, right? They will just go, very strictly by the numbers, but at least a human being is able to make discerning choices, right, based on factors that perhaps cannot be converted to ones and zeros. But nonetheless, in a nutshell, the role of an accountant is getting more and more exciting. They are really business drivers, and they do not need to be, only be involved, concerned with the financials of a company. Of course, coming from that direction, being able to understand the financials of a company gives them a lot of advantage, right? They are able to look at endeavors and opportunities in a much more clear-headed and objective way, so that they can contribute significantly to a business endeavor in a way that will ensure that it is a viable and workable plan, right? So some of the roles that is highlighted over here, some are traditional, like if you talk about internal audit and maybe taxation. Yes, these are still traditional, and it still requires the higher faculties of a human being, a human brain, to be involved, right? But there are some exciting new areas that are coming up, and I'm quite sure you are probably aware, because of e-commerce, because of the cryptocurrency, blockchains. So all this will come into play to change the face of what an accountant is all about, and what an accountant will have to do, right? So areas of business valuation is very big now, right? Many of the young associates these days, they are able to become what they call consultants in the area of business consultancy, and zeroing in on very specific professions or areas of the sectors of the economy. So these are all people who are trained sufficiently in the areas of finance and accounting, right? So just to share, in the world of accounting, or people who are actually carrying the CA Singapore credential or title, right? They are all business leaders, right? Of course, Dr. Ali is one of them. I certainly must update my chart and put Dr. Ali's face on my table of who's who in the world of accounting. This is not everybody, just a snapshot of some of them, right? So these are people who are not only from practice, that means they're not just from the accounting firms, but they're people from government, they are people from the private sector, there are people from even new upstarts and new enterprises. So I think this goes a lot to say that the CA Singapore credential title is actually not just restricted to one career or one opportunity. It actually is the gateway to open up even more opportunities for a credential holder, right? So for example, I'm sure all of you know, right? Tony Fernandez, although he's now world famous airline owner, right? But he was started his life as an accountant, right? I believe he was ACCA. So with this kind of opportunity, and of course there are many other examples. I think there's another gentleman from, this is more recent, somebody from TikTok, a Chinese guy by the name of Zhang something. He was also accounting trained, right? So it goes to say quite a bit that, you know, if you have, of course, it doesn't mean that only accountants can become businessmen. It doesn't mean that. But what I'm trying to say is that when you are trained in the field of accounting and you go through the rigor of the exams and you understand the workings of the world of finance and you know, records, you will probably be in a very good position to make certain investment decisions or even career moves that can drive you into areas that you didn't imagine you will be in when you first started, right? So that's what some of these people would probably tell you. And okay, just to share some of the partners that we work very closely with. Of course, most of them are the firms themselves, some of the big four accounting firms, but we do also work with you know, commercial sector, the government sector, and they are mainly in terms of becoming the approved training organizations, which Dr. Ali spoke about. I will share a little bit more later about that. And of course, also in terms of becoming what we call registered learning organizations. So that is where forward-looking training and consultancy is a partner with us. They are an accredited organizations that provide the support for our candidates to guide them along and to help them in taking the SCAQ examinations. Okay, so let's talk about the international recognition in a little bit. Now, I'm sure all of you have heard of ISCA, ISCA, Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants. ISCA is the professional accounting body of Singapore, which before the webinar started, I learned that from Dr. Ali that it actually started as the Singapore Accountants Society of Accountants way back in the 70s, right? In McDonald House. Wow, that is real history. So, but today it is called ISCA, right? It's called the Institute of Singapore Chartered Accountants, and it is the designated organization that awards the CA Singapore title. So how it works is this way. The SCAQ is the examination, and this examination belongs to SAC. We are the owner of the qualification, okay? But we don't confer the title to you because this has to be done by a professional body. And the professional body in Singapore, the national professional body is ISCA. So they will be the conferring, award conferring entity, the designated awarding, designated award conferring body. Okay, so this is all in the Accountants Act, and so we work very closely with ISCA, and through ISCA, we are getting a foothold into the world stage, right? So ISCA is a member of CAW, the Chartered Accountants Worldwide, a very prestigious group comprising some of the world's oldest, biggest, most prestigious professional accounting bodies in the world. Some of the letters are down there. I think you may recognize a few of them: ICAEW, CAANZ, CANS. Then there is also the CA Sri Lanka, right? So I think there's also a African professional body in there. So these are all members of the Chartered Accountants Worldwide, and we are glad to say through ISCA, Singapore is also a part of this very prestigious group. So what goes with that? What can we get out of that? What's the benefit of that? Well, because of this membership, it allows the members to have a very special relationship. We can work on agreements. We can work on collaborations much more easier, much more much more directly between each other. So many relationships can be built from there, so that there is a unified and there is a collaborative spirit among all the professional bodies in the world. And to become one of it is really to become a member of a very prestigious club, right? So Singapore is glad through ISCA, we are a member of this very big, established group of accountants. So, but of course, other than that, some of the relationships that ISCA also built on what we call the reciprocal membership agreements, right? So what this allows us is mutual recognition. That means members from these bodies, when they come to Singapore, they can practice here. So in return, when a CA Singapore credential holder, title holder, should go to a country, go to that country, he or she can also practice in that jurisdiction. So this is the result of the RMA, Reciprocal Membership Agreement. So the latest agreement we have is with CANS, the Chartered Accountants of Australia and New Zealand. So that one you can see is on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. This is the most recent RMA that was finalized back in April, I believe, right? More are being worked on, definitely. And we are continuing seeking out, through ISCA, other professional bodies that are, that we can have such kind of relation, such kind of agreement to work on. This is because by having this relationship, it facilitates the flow of business knowledge and know-how. So I think that is very important for Singapore, being a very small and very dependent little country. Yes, we are independent. Yes, but we definitely need a lot of external, knowledge. Definitely, we build our own. Yes, but we are not that big. Neither are we beyond what is available out there. We are definitely always learning. We continue to learn, and this is one way where we can do that on a very high level, on the professional level, and actually on the working level. Because once with this relationship in place, practicing accountants can actually travel between jurisdictions and offer the services. And of course, when they do that, they will also be able to pick up very new skills, new knowledge, new ideas, and that can be incorporated into our system. So I think this is a very positive, a very useful kind of relationship through the RMA that we have. So let's talk a little bit more about the role of an accountant. Where I mentioned earlier, they are no longer just report writers or information gatherers or bookkeepers per se. Yeah, of course there are bookkeepers still doing their job, very important people. But we don't aspire to stay as a bookkeeper forever, unless you do. But most people have ambition. I think you aspire to want to become perhaps a partner of a firm, perhaps the owner of a business, or perhaps the inventor of something really useful, or run an enterprise. Sure, these are definitely some very important aspirations that we can have, and many possibilities originates from those who are trained in the accounting field, right? Because it opens their eyes to understand the world of finance and the world of rules and the world of practices. Especially these days, a lot of emphasis is being put on governance, risk management. So definitely this we are the syllabus, and in fact the whole profession is actually moving towards and embodying all these new concerns or new areas, right? Because the environment is definitely something that we are also very concerned with as accountants. And being ethical counts a lot towards helping ourselves, because if our environment should turn bad, we are the only one that will suffer, nobody else. Maybe not us, not immediately now, not within the next 5-10 years, but actually we are already seeing some of the effects, right, of flooding and everything. The environment is changing. These are all due to the activity of mankind, right? The unabated quest for profit. But nonetheless, it is definitely something that need to be done, and I think an accountant can play a very important role in steering this the direction of how this can go, right? So ethics and professionalism, integrity become very big topics even in the world of dollar and cents, money, accounting. So and that's where the role of an accountant will slowly evolve to take into account the new reality and the new reality is a world that is constantly changing. The world that is no longer, nothing is the same. The world going forward next 5, 10 years may be even more different than the last 5 years or last 2 years, right? And things like natural phenomena, the pandemic is, it is a very timely reminder that suddenly our daily life can be disrupted, and if we are not ready, and if we are not doing the right thing, we may just be caught out. So I think one of the role that an accountant can contribute is making sure that, or to help an organization remain profitable, remain viable, but yet keeping an eye out on the outcome, on the side effects, to make sure that we didn't do it in the expense of the environment. We didn't do it at the expense of future generation, so to speak. Sounds a bit heavy there. I'm so sorry if it gets a little bit out of topic there, but it is true. I mean, we are all tied down on this earth together in everything we do. So I think being professionals and being so prominent, I think puts us in a very good place. Put those people in this role in a very good place to be able to do something, right? So I think an accountant is no longer just I just crunch my numbers and that's it. At the end of the day, I just go home. There's so much more thinking behind it that this will be demanded of accountants. So I think this, to me, that is exciting. I think it's not a boring job. It's not a meaningless job. It is very meaningful and it is very exciting because there's so many things that we can contribute to help to steer the ship of mankind, if you like, steer the way businesses are done, right? Okay, let me go a little bit in depth into the qualification itself, right? But before I do that, I just want to do a quick pause and do a pulse check. I see some questions on there. Should I, yep, that's just a statement. And I think I see a question. Maybe I'll just take one question from here at this point of time. Is it okay, Ms. Gauri?
Yes, please go ahead. You can take one question, the rest we can do.
Okay, so I will just take on the very first one. It says, I am an Indian chartered accountant. What is required for me to be a chartered accountant in Singapore, and will there be any exemptions? Okay, this, I think I will come to it right here. So thank you so much for the question. As I go into my next few slides, I think this will probably help to answer the question. Let me get into it right now. So first, let's talk about the accounting, the SCAQ. I want to show you some results or some trends for the last 4 years. Has been on a slight upward movement. Okay, it has been doing quite well all the way until 2020, when suddenly the pandemic hit, and then there was a surge because it was a very unusual time. Only one module was examined. But then when things got back to more or less normal, you can see that it levels itself off. So that is December of 2020. If you look at the left-hand graph, which is the professional program, it shows that it has leveled down to 74%. And the most recent exam, that was in June, just a couple of months back, it went back down a little bit more, by 2 percentage points, back to at 72. But our target, if you like, our goal is to make sure that our examinations are not impossible to pass. All right, it is definitely possible, but at what price, at what cost, or at what effort, by the candidates. So we certainly do not want it to be something so easy, in the sense that passing rate in the 80s, in the 90s. If it is in the 80s and in the 90s, then I think, as a discerning, a professional, one day you will ask yourself this question: is it really worth my time? Because if it's so possible, so easily passed by everybody, then what makes me different from, another person who passed the exam? We both did it very easily, and there are many people who passed it very easily. So I think the challenge for any examination, especially for a professional examination, is to ensure that it retains a certain standard, a certain degree of standard. And how do we benchmark this standard? We don't pluck numbers out of the thin air. We benchmark ourselves against other professional examinations that have been established in Singapore, right? People like the ACCA, the CPA Australia, right? All these professional bodies, we benchmark ourselves with them and find that that is around the range that they peg their exams, how their passing rate. So we are not, different from them. So we want to make sure that what we are doing is acceptable, right? We are learning from them, okay? But it cannot be so difficult. In the early days, if you look at 2017, right, extreme left of the screen, you can see that it was only 50%. That was probably the first few exams that took place. I remember even before 2017, I think Miss Laksha maybe will share later, the exam pass rate was actually, it went below 50, if I'm not wrong. Now, that is also just as troubling, right? It makes it something that is unreachable, which is not our objective, right? If it is so difficult, many people will be discouraged. Many people will not want to do it, right? And I won't blame them, right? If it is so difficult, only one, maybe 4 out of 10 will pass, or 5 out of 10 will pass. I think I will place my bet somewhere else. Right? I will bet my fortune with some other examinations where they have much higher chance of me clearing the exam. So that was our objective. That was our learning curve, right? SAC, or rather the SCAQ, had to. We listened to the industry. We speak with our industry partners, the firms, right? We speak with our ATO partners. We talk to our compatriots in the professional bodies circle, and we adjusted ourselves accordingly, right? It is a very fine-tuning kind of a thing that has to be done. But I'm glad that over the years, it has shown that what we are doing are on the right track, right? We are not setting too high a bar for those who are serious about the exams. Neither are we making it very easy, that we lower the entry barrier by so much. So and a fair point of passing would be between the range of 65 to 75%. If we can maintain about this range, we feel that we are doing the right thing. Of course, we are continuing to listen to the industry, to the market, to our key stakeholders, to continue to understand, the demands of the market, the situation that's happening out there, what's really going on. And of course, nothing is set cast in stone. Definitely, we are an agile, and flexible, adapting kind of entity, and we certainly, adjust the standard accordingly, so that we don't find ourselves way behind. Neither do we want to find ourselves way ahead of everybody else. Well, we can't be way ahead. We are no way anywhere near ahead, right? But we want to maintain we want to keep with the crowd. So if you look at the right hand side, which are the foundation program, I will share with you what's the difference between these two shortly. The passing rate has adjusted itself quite a lot. Okay, it dropped all the way down to 65% in the June of 2021. That was just a couple of months back, right? So, but to us, we feel that it is still writing. It is not nothing exceptional. Of course, if in December this year the pass rate drops to maybe 60%, then we will probably start to be a bit more disconcerted. Then we will probably want to study the situation and find out what's going on, right? Has the exam become really that difficult, or what's going on? Yeah. So, but this is how we gauge ourselves. Yeah. So, how to become a chartered accountant of Singapore, the CA Singapore title? Well, I hope this will answer the first question, the first person who asked the question. So there are two. There are basically the SCAQ is a degree entry qualification, meaning you can only take the exam if you have a degree, a basic degree, first and foremost. But there are different kinds of degree. So because it is a Singapore qualification, and the 5 local universities, the Bachelor of Accountancy graduates, they will go straight to the professional program. So if you look at the left-hand side, the box with the black shading, entry point 1. Those are what we call the direct entries. There are candidates from our local universities who have done the Bachelor of Accountancy or Bachelor of Business majoring in accountancy. Okay. Of course, this was not just free gifts that we give away. This was through a very deliberate and elaborate process of analyzing the syllabus, matching the syllabus, ensuring the rigor and the robustness of the curriculum, the delivery methods, so it was done through a very long process, and we came to a conclusion way back that this the degree that was done by the local universities has met the requirements that we set out to have, right? And they are able to then join the qualification at the professional level. So those will be the purple, those will be the boxes in purple. Those are professional. But of course, we are not saying no to other degree holders. So people who have a degree and they have also done accounting as their major subject, we have also done the same process of examining the qualification in detail, right, to understand about the rigor and the robustness of the qualification. And we have identified quite a number of degrees which we will call accredited degrees. So this, an example would be the Bachelor of Accountancy from the UOL, University of London. And similarly, the Bachelor of Business Administration Accountancy from the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology, RMIT, Australia. Right? So these are what we call accredited degrees. They don't come in at the professional level, but when they join the foundation level, which is the area in blue, they do get some exemption. Okay, right? So of course we have not looked at all the universities in the world, or even maybe not even 10% of the universities in the world. We only do this when they come to us and say, I come from this degree, I come from this university. Do I get any exemption? So similar to the question by this gentleman who says he's a chartered accountant of India. So Mr. I don't know the name, so sorry, but you can actually send this information to us, and then we can actually take a look to see if your qualification qualifies to be awarded any exemption. And we will look at it very objectively to make sure that if you have done the relevant similar level of rigor and similar depth, we certainly wouldn't want you to waste your time to do it again. We will probably give you the exemption, ask you to get the exemption. All right. So we do examine and continue to request information from universities to submit to us to do an assessment. In fact, we have the process streamlined now. The university can actually do an assessment in terms based on the template that we will give to them, and to tell us, okay, where they are. And then we will then look at that and see, okay, with this information, we can then look at how many module of exemption you can get from foundation, okay, from foundation. Exemptions will not be awarded at the professional level. So professional level will be something that everybody has to go through, but except for the foundation. Foundation, some degrees will get more exemption, some degrees will get less exemption. So it depends on the rigor of your qualification, depends on the university and what the degree has gone through, right? So you can see that probably fall under other degree. Maybe they're not accounting degree, they are business degree, but they have done some minors in accounting, for example. We will also look at that. Yeah, if you send us the transcript, send us your certificates, and of course, in this day and age, we also ask for a letter of confirmation by the university that this degree is awarded by them. And who is this university? We would like to know all these things. In this day and age of a lot of how should I put it? Interesting operations to try to leech off people's desire to grow. But anyway, do send it to us with all this documentation. If it's complete, we can do a assessment quite quickly. If it's not complete, then we will have to probably spend some time approaching the university, doing our desktop research to find out a little bit more. Okay. Now, of course, in Singapore, we also have a very special entry point, and that is, you can look at the chart. The flow chart is on the right hand side. We call it the Advanced Diploma in Accountancy. So this is a very special program. It's meant for Singaporeans. And it's meant for people who has done a diploma in accounting with our local polytechnics. So if any of you, I know some of you are students and thinking of furthering your education, if you come from a diploma in accounting from any of our local polytechnics, okay, you don't have a degree, okay, you may want to consider this entry point, the Advanced Diploma in Accountancy. So this is a earn and learn program, where not only do you study, but you will be actually engaged on the job, right? So it's a very special program that was drawn up between SAC and MOM to support our local workforce and to develop the sector. So if you fall under here, do consider that. You can approach Ngee Polytechnic to find out more about this, yeah, if you come from the diploma in accountancy. But whichever way that you are coming in from, right, and you want to take the exam and you need to get support, you can approach Miss Laksha. She is our registered learning organization. She will share a little bit more with you later on. Find out from her what are some of the service that she's providing. Some are free, complimentary, right? We just are putting some up online to get you started. So listen out, okay? There will be more information coming your way. So let's talk about the exam. Now, since June 2021, the most recent exam, all exams are online. All exams are done remotely, online. That means you do the exams in the comfort of your home or a place that is conducive, okay? Not in a cafe, because then you have people walking around, there's ambient noise, not recommended. But exams are online. That means you can even be doing it should you need to travel, right? But you are able to lock in. You can do it overseas even, right? Where you are, wherever you are. Once you're a candidate, you'll be given the lock-in credentials, you'll be given the necessary information. When the time comes, you can sit down at the place that's comfortable and secure, and you can lock in and do your exam. So it's not restricted. And to me, I think that is a real great thing, because I never liked the kind of tension in the exam hall, when the invigilator keep walking up and down, looking down at what you do. Wow, that always make me very nervous. So by doing this online, of course, it doesn't mean it is easier. It doesn't mean it's easier. There will still be supervision, but it's done remotely again. So there are two platforms that this is done on. The first is Cyrus, which carries the exam paper itself. And then we have what we call a Proctorial, another platform that actually monitors you as you are doing your exam by looking at your screen, by communicating with you via your camera and via your microphone, right? So these are all necessary steps to ensure that the integrity of the examination is not compromised, right? Although we do this online, you do it at home, the exam is still very safe and very secure. That is the immediate objective, okay? So, and of course, when you are a foundation student, when you sign up and become a candidate at the foundation level, all learning materials are provided to you. It's part of the package. So you do not need to go and buy extra material unless you want to, become you want to get more than just a pass. If you follow this information right here, all right, the material, download it, read it off the screen, right, and use it to revise, do the workbook, you will pass the exam. That is our assurance to you. But you must go through, okay? Look through the study guide, look through the workbook, read the examiner's report, understand the how it works, where people go wrong, what pitfall to avoid. If you just do this alone, you will pass the exam. Maybe you get 51 marks, 50 marks, and 50 is all you need to pass, okay? But of course, being Singaporeans, right, we are competitive. We will not be happy just to pass. We want to get distinction. We want to get merit. Yep. If you want that, then you may need more support. You may need to do a bit more. Of course, first you can approach Ms. Laksha, right? She will provide you with a series of sessions that can help strengthen you even more. And doing things like that will definitely then help you reach towards higher passing marks than just pass. You may even get a merit. You may even get a distinction, right? So this is up to you, okay? But for the foundation program, when you join us, these materials are provided to you. You do not have to pay. But when you go into the professional, then you may need to invest a little bit of money to get the information that is required, right? Maybe up to $100 or $200. But of course, this information are also available in some of the libraries. And if you're working with a firm, some of them actually have a very good collection that they allow the staff to use. Yeah? Okay, so let's talk about the ATO, which Dr. Ali mentioned earlier. So as a professional, it's not just about exams. There is also another component which is as important, if not more important, that is called the working experience. in any profession, right? May it be a lawyer, a doctor, an accountant, an engineer, there is always this practicum component, right? Lawyers, they call them the clerkship to become judges, interns to become solicitors, doctors, they call them housemen to guide them through the paces, and some of these can be quite long, 2 to 3 years. For accountants, you have these 3 years of work experience which are required, and this work experience must be accumulated working for an ATO, an accredited or approved training organization. So these are organizations that we have already vetted. All right, we have accredited them. We have looked through their processes. We know that they have the necessary learning and development processes in place to support our candidate. So when they work for them and they're doing the exam, the organization is able to support them in all ways, right? Maybe give them additional leave days or study leaves, and some even support them in terms of the fees involved, right? They may sponsor them to a certain level, right? So it depends on the firm, okay? But they are ATOs, they have all these things in place. And that is where, as a candidate, you will get your practical experience from. Okay, and it's a very important component, because when you finish your exam and you go and apply for your CA Singapore title, they will ask you to show them your 3-year work experience. This is kept in the record. We call the record RPEC, RPEC, which stands for Record of Practical Experience and Competences. Okay, so this is information is on your profile. The moment you become a candidate, you have an account, and all this information will be stored there, right? And when the time comes, you can download them, you can print them out, or you can save it as soft copy, you can email it to whoever you want to email it to, right? So this is how your work experience is being signed off as certain, right? And I mentioned RLO a couple of times. These are the registered learning organizations. So Laksha, Miss Laksha, who is from the Forward-Looking Training and Consultancy, is one of our registered learning organizations. She's a very experienced lecturer in accounting. All right, for the last, I just heard that it's actually more than what I thought. I thought she was maybe has been doing for 5 years. Actually, more than that, 7 years already, right? Since the birth of the SCAQ. Thank you so much, Ms. Laksha, for your support. Yeah, and I'm very confident that Ms. Laksha will be able to guide. She has already done that with many candidates in the past. So I'm very sure that she's very passionate and she knows what she's doing. You know, she knows the syllabus. She knows how to overcome some of the difficulties, the hurdles. So if you are looking to get additional support in terms of passing exam, she is the person that you should talk to, right? Okay. So do consider taking up some of this support from the RLO. It may cost you a little bit of investment, but I think it is investment well worth it. Okay, because your career is not just these few years; it's going to be a long haul, right? Okay, so this is a whole picture for the SCAQ, where you have your practical experience on the right-hand side. You can see that, and of course the examination, which is right in the middle of the whole thing, right? And I mentioned also there is this thing called ethics and professionalism. So this is another set of another component that you as a candidate need to fulfill. But not to worry, these are not examination. Okay, they are just simply online assessments that you being a candidate need to complete. That's all. Once you have an account, you need to register for these modules. Go online, get it done. Once it's done, it's over. You can keep it. It's with you forever. All right. It's just to highlight to you, bring to your awareness the important issues of ethics and professionalism. So, an accounting career is indeed an extraordinary career because it can bring you places. It can bring you, change your life. You know, it can really put you in the right place where you can really look at, the world in a very, very, structured and logical way. So I hope the information has been enlightening, and I wish those of you who are thinking of taking up the exam, I hope to see you one day on our roster. Okay, thank you so much. That's the end of my presentation. Back to you, Ms. Gauri. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Anthony. May we have now Ms. Laksha to present, please?
Hey, thank you so much, Gauri, and thank you so much for Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce to have this collaboration with forward-looking training and consultancy. I can see a lot of questions. I will take some of the questions. Let me just share the screen first. Okay, so my presentation will cover, so what Anthony has shared is about the qualification. So what I'm going to share is how to start your Singapore CA qualification learning journey. And as what Anthony mentioned, that Forward Looking is a registered learning organization, which is approved by SEC to offer the Singapore CA qualification, all right? So my scope, I will be covering who I am in terms of forward-looking training and consultancy, briefly about Singapore CA qualification. Most of it Anthony has covered, so I just cover in the aspect to answer the questions which is shared by some of the participants and the Q&A. Okay, first of all, forward-looking. Okay, how this came about? Well, I started my career as an accountant, taking the professional program, and I started in one of the largest shipping company, whereby I start the career as an qualified accountant. So along the way, I have moved into various roles as the head of management accounting, head of budget. I even took on the role as the head of strategic innovation and cost audit. After I have a very eventful experience in corporate, and I was very blessed to have many mentors along the way to guide me and to encourage me. I was doing my professional qualification while I was having this full-time job. Okay, thereafter, I had the opportunity to work in a state board. I was heading the finance department in a state board, and it was indeed a very interesting experience. And what I have gained in terms of my professional development, it helped me in my career. And when I made my final move, as what Anthony and Dr. Ali mentioned, accountants were not confined to number crunching. I have already done various roles like management accounting, budget, financial accounting, heading the finance department. The next stage I was looking at to go into education. So of course, my boss was trying to groom me. Then I was under a Scandinavian boss. He was one of the sought after person in the MERS line. I was reporting to him, and we call him the president of shipping. He was trying to groom me as the next lady to take on the role, because shipping is primarily a male-dominated industry. And he was very encouraging, but he was very tough, right? He really wants me to have this rigor, understanding the industry of shipping. And mind you, I also go on board of the ship. And let me just share with you a secret. I do not know how to swim, all right? And I go into a deep dive water with going on the pilot ladder, which is 7-story high. But I still have the guts to do it because I'm very passionate about what I was doing. So accountant's role is not just number crunching. It is a very eventful role. So that's where it inspired me to be in this profession. So when I took on another challenge was in education. Yes, my former boss, who is the president of shipping, was not very happy. But later on, he was sharing with me, that is your life. If you feel there's a calling for you, please go ahead. And interestingly, the education industry that I touched base on was the education arm of National Accounting Body, which is now called ISCA. So I was very honored, and it was very encouraging that I took on this role in the education. I was the head of the professional program. And as what Dr. Ali and Mr. Anthony were sharing about the various professional program, I was literally managing the whole basket of professional program, such as ACCA, Singapore CA, ICAW, AAT, etc. So that gave me a very good insight experience into the various professional qualification. I was before I left SAA, I was given the opportunity to be the head of academy, whereby I took on the degree as well as professional program. So I was literally like the head of school, managing the whole education part, giving advice and also teaching in professional as well as degree program. So that gave me a lot of experience and also motivation and passion about this industry in the accounting sector. So no doubt I am in education industry. I am still in touch base with accounting because I do talk accounting, teach accounting, and maybe drink accounting. So that's where I'm very passionate about this profession. Of course, let me just answer a few questions from the students. So that's where it will be also quite connected. So what do you think is I think there's one student say, what is some of the common downside about the profession that you hear? Of course, accounting is not a bed of roses. You have to work long hours. In any profession or in any job, you need to be committed. You need to have the drive. You need to give your time in order to perform well. So accounting is not just a 9-to-5 job. It is more than that. It is a responsible job. You need to be answerable to your shareholders, to your company staff, to many stakeholders. So that's where accounting play a very significant role. So it is not number crunching. So maybe I've shared this part of where I landed myself in forward looking. Well, I left my education role as the head of academic. That's where I'm still very passionate. So the next role I was thinking about what else I can do. I've already worked in corporate. I've already worked in staff board. I've already worked in education. So the next area that I can touch on is business leader. So that's where this topic is on, how a chartered accountant can mold you to be a business leader. So now I am a business leader, and this is my company, Forward Looking Training Consultancy. I'm not alone. I'm with a team of lecturers who were with me when I was in SAA, and collectively we have been teaching the qualification since December 2017. December 2017 is where the CA qualification became centralized exam. Okay, prior to that, I was involved in the program, which is during the inception 2013, when I was the head of the professional program. So that's where the Singapore CA qualification was residing within the RLO. So they don't call it RLO, but it was residing within the RLO that was offering the foundation program. So I was involved in that stage, and December 2017, that's where the examination was centralized by SAC. So it is a very interesting to see the growth of the program. And I agree with Anthony, at the initial stage, it was very tough. A lot of students have find it difficulty because of the rigor. And we were very blessed in terms of being an education arm of now, which is called ISCA. We have gotten a lot of guidance from the National Accounting Body in terms of designing the program. Okay, now the CA qualification, as what Anthony mentioned, it is comprises of foundation program, professional program, and with the 3 years of accredited training organization. Okay, I'd like to take another question. Do you need to have experience before you kickstart CA qualification? No. For foundation program, you don't require any prior working experience. You can kickstart the foundation program. What you need is a degree. The degree can be accredited degree or other degree. So you can submit all your necessary qualification to SEC for them to make an assessment. So let me take another question is, if I'm a master, can I use my master in terms of the entry qualification? So the entry qualification is a degree, but however, you can submit all your necessary qualification and transcript to SEC for them to assess and to give you an exemption, all right? Okay, and I believe I've answered all those questions. Okay, now foundation program, you have altogether 6 modules. It's very much depending on the university that accreditation is being done. So such as University of London and RMIT. However, if you are not under this group of universities, you still can submit all your necessary transcripts, your supporting documents to SEC for them to ascertain in terms of exemptions, all right? So exemptions is very much depending on the documents that you have from the university. So just bear in mind that if your qualification, if your degree is more than 5 years, the highly chance of you getting exemption will be very low, all right? Okay, now these are all the base modules, all right? Okay, let me just share. As a lecturer, we always like to write. Okay, hopefully I will be able to write very quickly. Okay, this is a technical module. Principle of Financial Reporting Assurance is a technical module. Singapore Tax Technical. Account Advanced Financial Reporting Technical module. So the financial management and accounting for decision making is a non-technical module. Surprisingly, the non-technical module, the passing rate is low, versus the technical module, the passing rate is much better. Okay, so why is that? So it's very much depending on how the students approach the qualification, which I'm going to share later. Okay, now professional program, altogether there are 4 technical modules and 1 capstone, which in short is called IB, right? Okay, now we have taught, my lecturers and myself, we have been teaching the technical module as well. And for me, this is my pet module, which is business governance and IB, all right? Okay, these are technical modules. Ethics, it is non-examined, but like any profession, you need to have ethics, all right? So while you're doing your professional program, concurrently, you'll be getting your 3 years of working experience with the ATO, which Anthony has just shared, all right? Okay. Now, how do I kickstart in terms of the learning journey? Eligibility, you need to have a degree. If it's accredited, there is highly chance you get exemptions. However, if it is not accredited, it will be dependent on SEC with your supporting documents, right? Okay, in order to start your learning journey, you need to have a structured plan. Okay, being a student, I have been a student myself, and I've already have taken 3 professional programs and 2 academic programs. I was even thinking of doing my PhD when I was working in SAA, right? So in order to juggle in terms of your work, family, and studies, is it possible? Yes, it is possible, but you need to have a structured plan. So it's a balancing act in terms of how you balance your family, your work, and your study, and you need to have the drive, and importantly is the target, all right, to achieve how badly you want to get the qualification. Commitment is important, all right? So you need to have a structured learning journey that will help you. So in terms of examination, SEC's Singapore CA qualification, the exam is every June and December, right? Similar to other professional qualification. Okay, now coming to the study support. So what kind of study support will forward-looking share? Okay, we have about, as I mentioned, that I was involved in the inception of the program since 2013. And the qualification was centralized by SCC in around December 2017. Okay, my team of lecturers and myself, we were very much involved since the birth of this program and the inception of this program. So we will be able to guide you. So the training will be fully online, especially now with COVID situation. You can see that face-to-face is always a challenge. And some students will always like to say that I'm very busy with work, there is closing. Business leader will say, I have a lot of meetings. So having online will help to address this. Anywhere, anytime, you'll be able to log in. So you will be given a guidance in terms of content delivery. There will be a revision, a mock, and a debrief. So what we have seen is that doing a simulation of the actual exam will really help, because we can see that students who have tend to do the mock, they tend to score well. And the lecturers, we tend to give them a feedback. Just to share is that, add on to what Anthony's mentioned. So for foundation program, you will be given is the learning guide, all right? That means the syllabus guide. You also will be given a series of books, reference books that you need to purchase as a reference point. But when you move on to the professional level, there will be a learning pack that is given by SEC. So this learning pack you will have is something like a workbook, a practice workbook, and also the syllabus guide, all right? So what is important is that how do you make use of all this information? How do you do self-directed learning? SEC recommends that each module, you need to have 100 hours. So how would you structure in terms of self-directed and a structured learning? So that's where we lecturers will be able to support you. So forward-looking will be able to advise. So in terms of advice, we don't charge you extra for any advice. So this is part of our commitment to help the students. We'll always encourage the students to do pre-readings and also knowing the exam techniques. So why students tend to fail the exams is because of exam technique skills. Okay, they're unable to complete the exams on time. So you need to have that simulation of the exams so that you will be more focused in terms of completing the exam based on the stipulated time. So this is very, very important. Okay, I've seen students, right, in degree, they are top student, all right? But when they come to Singapore CA qualification, I've spoken to some students who have failed and they asked me for advice in terms of how shall I pass? And when they share with me what are the challenges that face, that's where we as a lecturers, we diagnosed that the students' exam technique skills was not there. So therefore they have failed the exams, all right? And what we are doing now together with SAC, we are conducting complementary master classes for foundation program as well as professional program. In actual fact, I'll be conducting a masterclass for professional program tomorrow to a group of students who are very keen to know how to improve in terms of theory writing. This theory writing, report writing, because your examination will be very scenario based. It is not just number crunching, because you have to explain the scenario, the numbers. Okay, you have to explain the theory behind the numbers. The managers need to make an advice. So there is a simulation of the real world, all right, for the exams. Okay, now let me take some questions before those questions that I'm able to take. Okay, there's a student that mentioned that I've obtained my degree in Bachelor of Business and Accountancy from Murdoch. So do I have to go to foundation? You need to submit all your required documents to SAC. And if you don't get exemptions, you will have to do the foundation program. So most of the degrees, apart from the local accounting qualification, they can be exempted. So you can look at SAC website for more information. So for those foreign degree, that is high likely that you need to do the foundation program. Okay, I have another student participant that shared that you have a trouble doing balance sheet. So is it an art or science? Okay, let me just share is that balance sheet, you will learn about the structure of the balance sheet. But interestingly, right, this I quote what my boss said when I was in shipping. You need to understand the business. Because if you understand the drive of the business, it's not just the number. You must be able to tell a story from the number. So if you understand how would you classify non-current and current, how would you classify under assets or liability, that's where you will appreciate. So I would say that it's both an art and science. Okay, so but it's a very interesting question. Okay, and another student mentioned is that working experience, would you get exemption? No, unfortunately. So working experience will help you in terms of trying to cope your rigor process of your studies, but it will not help you in terms of exemption. Okay, so let me take some, then I will leave the others to the other speakers to share. So is the 3 years practical working experience before I pass? Okay, you need to complete your foundation program before you embark on your professional. That's where you're going to kickstart your 3 years experience. However, if you have, if you're already working in an ATO, the 1 year of your experience can still be counted as your practical experience. I think I will let Anthony to add on from there. All right. Okay. Now, I am a long-term visiting pass working in Singapore. Am I eligible to take up this program? Okay. The examination is being done online. The study is being done online. As long as you have is accredited degree, right? If you submit to SAC, you will be able to take on this program. Okay, there's a student who was sharing is what is the prospect of this qualification becoming redundant due to artificial intelligence? Okay, a very, very good question. Okay, this was, I actually came into accounting, not, it was not an encouragement by my family members, because my relatives, right, some were lawyers and were teachers. Okay, I'm a very few who went into this profession, mainly encouraged by my teacher, right? So those days, right, when we do accounting, I can see the paradigm shift, but accountants will not become obsolete, even though with technology, because accountants are needed for strategic direction. And I firmly believe in this. That's where I name my company as forward-looking, because I always feel that accountants need to be forward-looking, and we must embrace in terms of lifelong learning. So if you have this notion, if you have this idea in mind, I can tell you accountants will never be obsolete. All right. Okay. I believe the exemptions is already being taken by Anthony, but I will leave Anthony to add on there, right? Okay, for any individuals who are very passionate about the program, and if you want to know more, feel free to reach out to me. This is my mobile number, and this is my email address, all right? Okay, there are other questions which I will definitely would like to share. I would not like to take all the questions. So Dr. Ali and Anthony, would you like to pick any questions? Those which are very centric to learning, I will pick that questions.
Okay, maybe I can just answer the question about the exemption for tax from the tax academy. At this moment, so when you talk about tax academy, a tax exemption is at the foundation level. So if it is at foundation level, I think there is a possibility. And I believe this has been assessed already. So you can go to the SAC website and download the exemption guide for the tax academy. I believe it is there, and see if it is the module that you took and what kind of exemption it can award you. But again, if it is not there, or if it is not similar to yours, you can always submit your documents for review, and then we will take a look at the information provided to assess to see if it's possible for exemption. Yeah. So any exemption situation, this is how it is. Go to the website, take a look to see if it's already been been looked at before. There will be exemptions guide based on university or institute names. And then once you download the guide, it will tell you what are some of the qualifications that has been looked at, has been granted exemption. So if yours is happened to be one of these, then you know for sure what kind of exemption you can get. But if it's not there, you will need to probably submit the documents, individually to be assessed. Okay, so that's about the exemption.
Okay, maybe I can take this question on how CFA is different from Singapore CA. CFA is very much finance centric. And if you really inspired, I remember that I have a staff who was working with me when I was in SAA. He was doing his CFA. So students who are very inspired to work in banks, and they want to continue their journey in this direction. So they will do the CFA qualification. Okay, versus the Singapore CA qualification, as you can see, the module finance is also part of the module. You can see business governance, risk, and ethics is also part of the module. It's a little bit on finance as well. So it is a holistic qualification that covers all ground and spectrum in different areas of accounting and finance. I hope I answered your question, right? Okay, the redundant due to AI, well, Dr. Ali or Anthony, you want to add on?
No, this AI is totally a new area, while this is more into IT related students or people aspire to enter into AI, that is more applicable to them. But overall, CA is a financial system qualification which can be used in any sector or any kind of business. So we are having various industries. So therefore, accounting is becoming a chartered accountant itself is a journey that you need to achieve and get yourself qualified. So I feel that doing this CA program, it's going to uplift your overall career prospects and opportunities, not only in Singapore, around the world, or even around the region. Some of the senior accountants are already been certified as ASEAN Chartered Accountants, in which I have already qualified myself as well. So this is a very good opportunity. I hope members or participants in this session take this opportunity. And one of the issues that I feel is that since this can be done online, whether foreigners can stay in Singapore and do the program, I suppose this is an immigration issue. If you can get a student pass or a letter from SAC to confirm that you are going to do this program, probably you will get some extension in order to attend some of the classes conducted by Ms. Laksha. So I think with that, if there is any other questions, we are more than keen to answer. Yeah. I think we have covered almost all the questions that have been raised.
Yeah. Sorry, there's one more question, opening up the floor. How has accountancy changed over the years? Is it largely the same as it was decades ago?
No. This one is totally different. We have already mentioned that it's not number crunching anymore. You need to know a lot of things when you come in as an accountant. But basically, if you come as a bookkeeper or just preliminary employee with just diploma or something, so you are just entering the world. But in order to achieve the full qualification of chartered accountant, you need to know a lot of things, you see, within the organization, within the industry, within the business, and knowing about the working culture and style of the organization. There are quite a lot of things that you need to learn, and this is where you can progress and achieve to the greater heights and business. Because there are a lot of people who are now want to enter into business on their own, right? Become an entrepreneur. But end of the day, if you do not know accounting or you don't have any accounting qualification, it's going to be a problem. You may have a person, somebody who comes and take all your money away from the bank. So at least as a boss, as the leader or head of the company, you have that knowledge, so nobody can bypass you and do something unlawful. Because nowadays you see a lot of the things happening in industry, scams, and end of the day is the financial system is the blood stream of the organization. Without accounting knowledge, without accounting and these figures, it's very difficult for you to progress. All right. So if there are any other questions, so we will still hang on.
We can do one last question before we close off the session.
Yeah.
We just have one person who have asked, do many organizations have the same view of accountants as you have shared? I worry many employers may still treat it as just a bookkeeper job.
No. I mean, if you ask my frank opinion, these are the old thoughts, looking at accountants is just number crunching guys. But today's world is totally different. Yeah. You can't say that accounting job is just an accounting job now. Yeah, that is why now if you look at the program, it's very well designed and appropriate for today's environment. That's what we need to know, because you see, one of the papers that you have is a scenario as if you are in that organization. You are supposed to handle that question or the problem. It's a problem. How do you resolve it? Linking numbers, you see, because at the end of the day, linking the business with numbers and other stakeholders. Okay.
Yep, thank you for that. So Ms. Laksha, Mr. Anthony, do you have anything to add on? If not, we will proceed to close the webinar for today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It is a real great event today.
Yeah.
I hope the participants take an opportunity, because you will not get this information. And this is an esteemed qualification, it's not an ordinary qualification. This is a more equivalent to as a doctor, engineer, or qualified specific industry and specific skills that you need to learn. This is a great opportunity. I will encourage all participants seriously look into it. And if you have problem, you always have Gauri online there, and Ms. Laksha is also there, given you all the thing. And if really technical or examination, maybe you can address it to Mr. Anthony Chow. He's from the government body which regulates the accounting profession. Very difficult those days all to get the accountancy commission to get seminars like this. There's no such thing before. Do you agree with me, Mr. Chow?
We are trying to be more.
Yeah, you are coming forward. You are coming forward. I remember when they first started, they had invited me to be facilitator as well. I attended the sessions and all, Yeah, but those were the days where the passing rate was so low, and people were so worried. How can I clear this? I mean, I looked at the exam syllabus and papers. It is not easy.
Correct.
That was the response. But now I've seen it's totally a different change, and we are moving into a different environment at the moment. And also in a COVID situation, we had to balance it. You see, so we cannot be using the old method to test students. I mean, that's my feeling. Yeah.
You're right.
Yep, very well said. So participants, thank you for joining us today. Definitely hope that it's been beneficial. Feel free to reach out to us. You can contact me. Ms. Laksha has given her contact as well. Any questions at all, we are able to answer even after the webinar. Just drop us a mail. And I'd like to thank Dr. Ali, Mr. Anthony Chow, and Ms. Laksha for your time as well. So thank you, everybody. This has been a
Thank you
good
so much.
session.
Thank you and have a good day.
Have a good day, sir.
Same
And
to you.
weekend.
Everybody, all the
Yeah.
best. Hope to see
Yeah.
you on board.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, Lakshya.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, Gauri, done. Perfect.